Welcome to a Greater Reality Healing, Living, and Helping meeting. This program helps you take higher energy paths after big changes and challenges. This can create quantum leaps in your learning, growth, enjoyment, and service to others. The evidence-based information and holistic resources in this program can help you optimally heal, live, and help no matter what your past or current circumstances. Disclaimer, this program is not designed to replace medical or psychotherapeutic care. The agenda for this meeting is a 10-minute presentation, 20 minutes of Q&A, and then 30 to 45 minutes of small group sharing and discussion. The first two parts are recorded, but the sharing sessions are not. I'd now like to introduce our presenter, Mark Pitstick, MA, DC. Mark has over 50 years of experience helping many people in hospitals, pastoral counseling settings, mental health centers, holistic health clinics, etc. To learn more, visit soulproof.com/about. His ebooks, audiobooks, audio programs, and documentary film are
Promoting
free
mute
at
people so they can't, other people can hear.
soulproof.com/shop.
And then when you want to ask a question, they unmute.
Okay, everyone mute yourself, please, if you're not already. Thank you, Jen, and good evening, everyone. Welcome, everyone. So, if possible, please enable your video so I can see you and see how much you're with me and so on. This is called Greater Reality Program, in short. Greater reality referring to all that exists, the totality of reality. And Jen, you're letting people in now? Okay, thanks. Other synonyms for that are the nature of reality, the big picture of life, and also how life is really set up. Because as it turns out, most of us counted on religious teachings to learn how about life, death, and the afterlife. And so much of what they taught was just wrong or vague. And there's a wide spectrum of teaching. There are 40,000 denominations and cults within Christianity alone, and over 10,000 religions on our planet. So, throw a dice at what you're going to be taught. And as I say, there's a wide spectrum of teaching. So we can do a lot better than that now in 2026, understanding about how life is really set up. And it's all great news. As a dream teaching told me years ago, this earthly experience is a totally safe, meaningful, and magnificent adventure amidst forever. However, there may not be people in your life to teach you that, and it may seem too good to be true, especially if you're going through a big challenge, like a loved one passing. And oftentimes that's what it takes to bring people to the party. In other words, to get people to look at the big picture of life and learn answers to biggest questions. Let's face it, when life's going smoothly, who wants to look at the really heavy, deep stuff? You just kind of enjoy it and go with the flow. But when life kind of forces you to your knees, then you realize, okay, I've got to look more deeply. And it's a blessing in the long run, because that's when you learn who you are, why you're here, who walks beside you always, etc. So, article number 19, by the way, is called The Great News About the Nature of Reality. Dr. Gary Schwartz and I, in our book, Greater Reality Living, put together that list, 10 indications about how life is really set up versus what you may have been taught. And so this is one of the biggest keys to helping you heal, optimally heal, live, and help others. When you are seeing without blinders on, when you're seeing how life is really set up. So that's one reason we focus on that so much. So this program provides everything you need to help you know and show this great news. I'm not saying it's easy. I know many of you have gone through tough situations, are going through it. However, many people have demonstrated that it's possible to awaken, find the silver linings, benefit from them, share them with others, and they're experiencing high levels of peace, joy, and fulfillment. So if they did it, you can do it too. And this program has articles, videos, meetings, and follow-up support to help you heal yourself no matter what your past or current circumstances. Now, that may sound like an impossible claim, but we'll show you it is possible and help you do that. Secondly, live the greatest life you have envisioned. And third, to help others. And of course, when you help others, you get help yourself. And as a meta effect, our world can come together. Now, a quick side note, when I said live the greatest life you have envisioned, you refers to your higher self, your eternal consciousness, your soul, the totality of your energy, not just this earthly manifestation that you see in the mirror. And that explains why, for example, some people who are paralyzed or molested or cancer or whatever, and even people have had a loved one pass, afterwards they say, you know, I never wished it, but it's been one of the best things that's happened to me because it woke me up. It helped me get with the program. It helped me remember the really important things in life. So that explains why when we say create the greatest life you have envisioned, well, from just an earthly standpoint, you say, well, who would envision being paralyzed? But from a soul standpoint that knows that great news, no one really dies. We're only here for a blink of an eye. We're one with the one, part of source. We see our loved ones again. You know, we're soulmates. We have adventures in different space-time dimensions. All those wonderful truths about how life is set up. Then, yeah, souls will be willing to go through adversity to grow, learn, help others, have adventures, test how well they've learned their lessons. So I know that's a lot, but that's kind of everything in a nutshell. Now, these meetings, we can't share everything, obviously, but what we do is show you how you can learn at your own pace. And so I'm going to screen share briefly and cover a couple points here. And the first is articles. So we're at soulproof.com. If you go to the top tab, it says articles. And here are the articles. 142 of them now. Somebody stop me, please. But, you know, people ask questions. So, for example, somebody said, why do we have to forget everything when we come to Earth? That doesn't make sense. Why would God set things up that way? And so I spent quite a bit of time thinking about it, reviewing everything I knew, and I wrote this article. So anything, you know, when a loved one's murdered, a loved one passes by suicide, are you a more advanced soul? I mean, you name it, and there's an article for it. So, and the big one that we're starting with for the most part in this group is 82, which is greater reality healing, a higher energy path after life's toughest challenges. All right, the next thing I want to show you about resources is shop. So we're still soulproof.com, top tab shop. And this is where you find 8 books, and the audiobooks and the ebooks are free. And one I'll be highlighting tonight is called The Afterlife Evidence. This is a short book that contains all the clinical, scientific, and experiential meaning based on firsthand experiences, evidence that no one really dies. And then 10 audio programs. And tonight I'll be recommending for you to use, or I'll be mentioning the Afterlife Contact Session. So this one turns down your brain, deep relaxation, guided imagery, and allows you to better perceive than your loved ones who have passed, people and pets, because you realize the brain it only perceives less than 1% of reality, but it thinks it knows everything. So it's really important to quiet that brain and then get in touch with your higher self, what you know to be truths. So those are that's under shop. The last thing I want to share with you is called the Greater Reality Healing, Living, and Helping Program. It's the top tab. And this is probably the most important page for the program because it lists the articles. I already mentioned 19, 82 for healing, and then the other articles for the living and helping parts. And then these are, if you're a more advanced soul and really want to get with the program, which is helping our world reach widespread conscious living now. So this shares when are the meetings, how can you join them, and then how can you get automated updates. The last thing I want to share then is under Greater Reality Program. There are sub-tabs for the healing, living, and helping parts, and this is where you find the videos. So for helping and living, there are just 3 videos each. For this one, 18 videos, 30 minutes each. I know it's a lot, but look at the scope of this program. We let Helping Parents Heal do the most of the work for those who have had children pass, but everything else, any other kind of loved ones pass, loss of health, financial losses, you name it, everything else we address in this healing program. And so there's a lot of aspects to it. So now you know about those resources. Next, I want to just briefly, before we start the Q&A and then the sharing sessions, I want to share just briefly 2 of the keys. So these are described more fully in article number 82 and also in those videos I just showed you. So key number 3 is grieve your own way. Because that process varies for different people. So give yourself permission to mourn in ways that feel right for you. Now, there are several aspects to this, and I'll mention just a few of them now. First is that shifts in relationships with family and friends are common after you've gone through a big challenge, had a dear one pass, and there are several reasons for this. First of all, your loss or your challenge highlights their fears and their unresolved losses. So people are, like they're afraid to get too close as if it'd be contagious or something. Also, people don't know what to say when you're grieving or when you're going through a really tough time. They may try. And so, don't take it personally. Just realize they don't know what to say. They can see your pain and they feel hopeless, helpless in doing anything about it. So they may say, well, you just need to keep busy. Well, that's well-meaning, but it's really horrible advice. You can't keep that busy. And all these examples I'm sharing are real life examples. When you have a beloved pet, a dog pass, some people may say, well, just get another puppy, as if that just totally makes everything fine, or a spouse passes. It's time to find someone else. I actually had a bereaved mom. Her child had only passed 3 months before, and a, quote, friend told her, you need to get over this. I'm like, really? 3 months? I mean, that's pretty harsh. But again, they're trying their best. They may not be an advanced soul, or they may not be have the emotional, social skills. So you have to make a decision. If you have the energy for it, you can try to salvage that relationship, work with them, trying to educate them about what it's like. But if you don't have the energy for it, or if it's like that relationship wasn't that good anyway, then just minimize interactions with them. And then key number 4 is learn the evidence that no one really dies. This one is top of my mind right now because I and Jennifer, who read the opening statement, recently did the final proof for the scientific paper that Dr. Gary Schwartz just submitted to a journal. And this is the first paper ever that presents the scientific data that shows without a doubt that life continues after bodily death. I'm going to create, and Jen, I haven't asked you yet, I'm going to ask your help, to create a layperson's version of this scientific paper because it's 70 pages long. You could get brain damage trying to read it. but we're going to get a scientific journal paper for dummies, one that we all can understand, and you'll be able to read that then later. But the bottom line is, right now, there's no question. Scientific research and clinical data now shows the words are definitively demonstrate scientifically that life continues after bodily death. And that, of course, is a game changer. It changes everything for the better. One of the great news from that is that you realize you can have a different but very real and meaningful relationship with your loved ones now. So to learn more how to do that, see article number 9 and use that afterlife contact audio program that I showed you under shop. So that that covers the information I wanted to share in my short presentation. So what we can do now is spend some time on Q&A. Any questions, your biggest questions, your toughest challenges about anything we just covered, grieving your own way, all the evidence for life after death, or any topic about life, death, or afterlife. So who'd be the first brave soul to go first? And Ellen, ding, 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 you win. You get to go first.
Okay. Well, I think I emailed this to you earlier. I nearly died a few years ago, and life has been so tough. And this is a lot of my experiences that I'm going through are somewhat similar to a sister of mine who committed suicide 13 years ago now. And we were very close, and her story is really, really complicated. And I realized recently that my life has been incredibly impacted by her death, and her death doesn't define her life, but it has defined mine. Anyway, those are two separate things, but
Right. So
that's at top of my mind right now.
yeah, how about if we start with a question? What is a question can help you?
The question is what is there any meaning behind nearly dying and then like coming through that and just getting sicker and being on the verge of feeling like I'm dying for many months now? Is it that I subconsciously don't want to be here? Or is this at all related to anything we're talking about tonight? I don't guess maybe.
Yeah. So if it's not too personal, what almost killed you?
A dental infection.
Okay. All right. So you had a systemic infection. So you were pretty sick. So a couple things about, and then how long were you clinically dead or?
Well, I was septic and at home, and I have a lot of tools here to heal, but it was like at 2 a.m. and
quickly.
Yeah, it wasn't an NDE. It was that I nearly died.
All right.
And
So
I couldn't go to the hospital. I had to figure it out here.
All right. So near-death-like experience. You glimpsed the light, the bigger picture of things. Well, a couple of things. Yeah, people who have seen the light, or even more accurately, remembered the light, because you realize we're all beings of light and we are all loved by the light creator more than we can imagine. So many people who glimpse that do have trouble being on earth afterwards. They want to go back home. They don't want to, look through a pinhole. They want to see the whole thing. But obviously it wasn't your time. Number one. Number two, it's quite possible that your body hasn't totally recovered from the septic shock, and you could need some, I assume you've had the medical care that's recommended, but what you may not have had is powerful natural care. So to help in that regard, I would recommend article number 32 and 89 at soulproof.com. And those are about natural health care, powerful things like acupuncture, design, nutritional healing. So 32 and 89. And check those out and see if you can fine tune yourself so you feel good again, because you've seen the light, the world needs your light, and you deserve to feel happy and peaceful and all. So stay in touch with me. I remember you emailing. Follow the homework I recommend, and then we'll just check in every couple months, see how you're doing, and do what it takes, okay? You are very welcome. And so that same, by the way, applies to any of you. And this is part of the follow-up care. And you say, Mark, have you lost your mind, man? Maybe. But how can you do that? Well, yeah, I get multiple emails from people around the world every day. But the thing is, I have templates. And in literally 5 to 10 minutes, I can give people what they need to be off to the races and turn things around, to have a breakthrough instead of a breakdown. So I'm glad to do it. So my email address is mark@soulproof.com. And my responses will be short, but they will be information rich, and we can keep in touch. I'm glad to do that. It's an important part of what I do. So again, mark@soulproof.com. The same thing applies that if your question is too personal, you're embarrassed, you don't want to ask it in front of a bunch of people, then email me and we'll do it that way. So thank you, Ellen. Who is up next? Corey.
Hi, Mark. You've mentioned several times, what did I write down? Advanced soul. What exactly is an advanced soul?
Yeah, that is not based so much on how many times a person's soul has been to Earth. When I was young, you would hear sayings, old souls or new soul or beginner soul. But it turns out that it's actually more about how much has a person learned. Because a person could come to Earth 500 times and still be working on a tough lesson. So more evolved souls, more advanced souls have learned lessons, and so their energy is higher. Because you understand, ultimately, that's what we really are, beings of energy. We look solid because we have this limited brain receiver. And so is our energy high, fine, flowing, peace, joy, love, gratitude, or is our energy lower, chaotic, frantic? And that's when people feel anger, hopelessness, despair, and so on. And by the way, those are some of the original meanings of the words heaven and hell in the Aramaic. It's how you feel while you're on earth, and also how you feel after you pass on and have your life review. So I have an article number, let me look it up. I used to have all these memorized, but then 142. 117. Are you a more advanced soul? Article 117. And there's some questions you can fill out. And then there's another one shortly after that, that's 128. My advice, if you might be a more advanced soul or want to become one. So 117 and 128. So you can look at those. But the fact that you're asking the question, show interest, and so on, big hint. I mean, the same way for all of you. What are you doing here in this meeting? Shouldn't you be watching some game show or learning about the latest Hollywood breakups or something important? So, yeah, you've given yourself away, and this is our crew. Any other questions, dear? Okay. Marianne, you're up.
Yes, I just wanted to ask you how I could, live in joy when my daughter, she passed by suicide 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
2 months after she passed, my mom had a major heart attack due to grief, I believe, and she passed. Then I didn't have a good relationship with my husband, but then 3 months ago in November, he got really sick and he passed, but I do had affection for him, and because I lived a long time with him. Then I had to sell my house and move into a different province, and my second daughter blames things on me and says her sister passed because I didn't leave the marriage earlier, so she's kind of cut me off
Okay. All
and her
right.
baby.
Let me hold you there, Marianne, because I know some of your story. Yeah, so you've had your share, and you're the kind of person, by the way, this program was designed for. Because really, when you look at it through a purely human perspective, it seems like God's asleep at the wheel, or there's no God, or God doesn't care. It also seems like you're being double teamed, to have all those things happen. However, from a spiritual perspective, from the big picture of life perspective, it's all good. It's all God. There's a good chance that your soul signed up for this. So the question is, how can you awaken? You don't want to spend too much time going over your list. And if others, like you mentioned, your daughter, blame you and so on, you need to let that run off your back like water off a duck's back, because obviously it's not your fault. You didn't cause any of those. So I know we've spoken before, and I know I recommended the holistic breathing technique. 35 minutes of deep, noisy, diaphragmatic breathing. It's based on article number, or subscribed to article number 70. Have you used that technique on a regular basis?
No, not on a regular basis. I have used it though.
Okay. And how did it go when you used it? Did you run into any problems with it?
No, it was good.
All right. So here's what I recommend to you. First of all, use that holistic breathing technique. You're going to cry your eyes out because you've gone through more losses in 4 years than most people do in a lifetime. But all these other people I mentioned, everyone I know who's doing really, really great work, has created a wonderful life, has gone through tough challenges. So this is your opportunity, and helping parents, he always say, when loved ones pass and when you face challenges, it can make you better or bitter. It can cause you to have a breakthrough or a breakdown. And so it's a choice. You set your intention. And that's why it's so important to be in touch with your team. So you have a pen and paper in front of you?
Yeah, I can put it in a Word document.
Okay. Well, yeah. So type these down. First of all, whatever your religious faith is, make sure you take some time for prayer, which is talking to God, and then meditation, which is listening to God. So I talk about meditation, relaxation techniques under 51, and then prayer 89, because you realize we all have a team. I've been told by different people that I have a team of 75 or 100 around me helping. And that's one reason I can help so many people so powerfully. We're talking angels, guides, master teachers like Jesus and Buddha and Kuan Yin and others. So use your team, ask for their help. I talk to them every day. They're my like invisible friends. And in the morning I say, okay, here we go, gang. And before I go to sleep, I say, thank you, gang. Great day. See you tomorrow. So make sure you work with your team, number one. Number two, use that holistic breathing technique as instructed 2 or 3 times a week. You'll cry your heart out. You'll pound the mattress. You'll scream. But you need to get out this deep pain and anger. It's very common to be angry at life, angry at God, angry at the people who left you. That's okay. But you want to get it out. It's like the old saying, anger is like diarrhea. You don't want to hold it in. So get this anger and get all those lower energy emotions out. And then the third thing is centering practices. This is article number 77. You want to spend some time each day turning down your brain, walking in nature, playing with animals. For some people, crocheting. Whatever helps you quiet your mind and remember that it's all good. It truly is all good, what we said earlier. Because what happens is when a person is beset with multiple trauma like you have, the brain tries to figure it out, and people literally will wear holes. It's like wearing grooves in a record, and it doesn't help you because you can't figure it out with your brain, but your soul knows the big picture and your soul knows what to do. And my last step for you is to use the ask your soul, angels, and the light technique. So this described in article number 71, and then the actual audio program is under shop. Okay, ask your soul. Do those 4 things and do those regularly for 2 months, and then email me and let me know, how are you doing? We'll see what symptoms or problems you're having then, and we'll go from there, okay?
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome. I look forward to hearing better news and seeing you smile some. I know it's tough, but you can get through this, my friend.
Okay.
Another question or two before we shift to Kat, you're up there.
It's a
Hello.
little dark. Okay, so I have 2 separate related questions, but if it's too much, maybe I'll ask this first since the topic of suicide came up. And interestingly, yesterday I joined Life with Ghosts. I'm a regular on them, and then Amy Belaski is super cool. She is a psychic medium, and she mentioned multiple times about suicide. Also, I was lining up to ask question, but I didn't have the chance to ask. So I'll ask you what you think. You probably remember last time I mentioned that I think I've kind of moved on and got to the point that it doesn't matter if I hear from my husband because I know he is here, but then I still sometimes maybe a little bit of I have seen a few mediums, and they brought meaningful messages, but there is one thing I always feel missing, which is they would never hear how he passed. So, and I thought such a important traumatic manner how he passed could be sensed or somehow communicated, but none of them. There was one that is a little bit closer, but then like so. Because I was looking for the evidence that
Yeah.
I am getting messages from him. So I'm like wondering, is it because it's is something that he didn't want to bring up, so it never was brought up, or what's up with that?
Yeah.
I just want to make sure he's okay.
Wow, he is okay. You can be sure of that. And the article to read is number 4, when a loved one passes by
I read it.
suicide. Yeah,
Mhm.
but you see, to us on Earth, and again, there's the brain. I wish this medium would tell me how he passed so I would be sure. And then after
Mhm.
that, it'd be something else. But to people who pass on, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're murdered, suicide, an illness, an accident. That's just your ticket back home. Okay, that's just the way you get your exit from this earthly experience. So most likely it's not coming through because it's really of little consequence to those in the spirit world. They're back home, they see more of the big picture of life, and we can do that on earth too. So I would say let it go, use the breath work to make sure you've gotten clear and release the deep, and then get in touch with because you shared that you also feel like your husband's energy is kind of
Yeah.
merged with yours in your work. So, hey, you've got 2 for the price of 1. So what are you going to do with that? How are you going to make the world a better place and create a wonderful life for yourself? And you
Mhm.
had another question?
Yeah. And then I have been practicing meditation, and yeah. And anyway, I just have to say that your resources are great. I use some of them and also read the articles. But this morning when I was listening to the group meditation, I'm with TM. And then it was brought up about the bigger consciousness and how we are part of the whole, which I truly believe in it. But then suddenly I was thinking, hmm, if all these are so good and we have to learn all these like over and over, and we like why we come to this earth
Yeah.
as such an ignorant soul? Can they equip us better? I know there's advanced soul, but they have done some work before they advance. So I'm thinking, like, why is it that we don't come a little bit better than
Yeah.
this?
That's a really good question. It's one of the most important questions can be asked. The Buddha was asked that, why bother? Why go through all this suffering? He said simple, two things, to learn and to help others. So that's it in a nutshell. Because it's one thing to learn when you're in spiritual realms, you've got your soul group, there's all the love and light floating around. Yeah, that's pretty easy peasy, right? But when you come to Earth, that's when you find out how well you've really mastered your lessons. Like the saying goes, when the rubber hits the road. So that's one reason souls will come here, is to test how well they've really learned their lessons. I wrote an article, it's article number 80, and it's called SAGE Training. SAGE is an acronym, so article number 80. But the article is, why did we come to Earth? Why are we here? And so SAGE is an acronym. So the S is for service to others. So some more advanced souls, and I'm guessing you are, volunteer to come here. They don't have to for karmic reasons. They don't need to for the earthly lessons, but they volunteer to come here and care for others. Oftentimes they're teachers and healers, counselors. And sometimes even more advanced people will volunteer to be sick, to be patients, because how
Yeah,
can
I read
doctors
that.
and nurses learn to work on somebody if they don't have anybody to work on? And to a more advanced soul, it's a no matter really to use part of their energy to come here and, be paralyzed or chronically ill or whatever. So the A is for adventures. And this is the one that a lot of people forget. And one of the reasons I love Joseph Campbell so much, because he really taught this in a beautiful way, the hero's journey, that we love adventures. I mean, think about how long eternity is. There's a Hindu metaphor for it. They say, imagine a granite mountain 6 miles high, 6 miles wide, and 6 miles long. Every 100 years, a dove flies over this mountain with a silk scarf in its beak. Imagine how long it would take that process to wear down the mountain flat. That's the first day of eternity. And so, what are souls going to do for forever? Sit around, Hosanna in the highest, hey, we're in heaven. That get old. So, what do? They have adventures because, again, they know the big picture. No one really dies, they never lose their loved ones, they're part of God. This is all, as our speaker on the 22nd will talk about, this earthly experience is very much like a virtual reality experience. And so they're willing to have adventures, much like we enjoy watching exciting movies and reading books, suspense and mysteries. So that's the A. The G is for to grow and learn. And then the E is for enjoying. So that's why souls come here to Earth. And check that out. And I look forward to hearing your next set of questions. You always have some good ones.
Yeah. Oh, I just want to offer one thing to our friend who just spoke and about she lost so many people. This is what I come up with because every soul has their own customized lesson, so they pass for their own reason. So we should not feel guilty or like we didn't do anything to help them. I think I've gone through all these questioning, so I just want to share that because there's no way I can change the outcome if he's determined to go on his own because he hasn't quite gone through his lesson. I try to help him as much as I can, but everybody has their own lesson, so he just have to try it again.
Thank you for sharing that. And I wrote recently in article number 140, is there, quote, a time to pass on? And so it addresses that. But the bottom line, I'll just spoil the big secret. Yeah, when it's the soul's time, they're going to go, and there's nothing that people around could do about it. So
Yes.
no sense feeling guilty and so on. Well, thank you. Always glad to see
Thank you.
We need to wrap the Q&A for now. And